Hi, I'm Kim Rayner, and I want to welcome you to episode 2 of Life After Cancer. And I want to start by thanking you for all the support that I got and the questions and the comments and the feedback that I got from episode number 1. And when I sat down here this morning, the sun was not in my eyes. Let me just start by telling you that. Um, so today's show is episode 2, and it is created based on a question that I got from someone who lives in Oregon. And they asked me, how do you support someone or help someone when you live remotely from them? How do you do that? What works to support people that way? And that was really a powerful question, and it was really a complicated question, too. So I decided, this would be a good topic for a show because it not only impacts the cancer survivor or a survivor from anything, really, that's kind of traumatic and stressful that's going on, but it's also really, really impactful for the Survivor Support Network. Survivors are asked all the time, what can I do to help? How can I support you? And support people are asking all the time, what can I do to support? Hi, Tamra. Good to see you here. So how do you answer the question? What do you do with that information? And it really brought me back to my cancer journey to take a look and say, okay, who were my go-to people? Who were the people that really supported me? And what about them was so special? What made what they did different or stand out from what other people did? And what I really came up with was, it took me back to the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And if you've never heard of them, that's really what the show is going to be about. Talking about the 5 Love Languages. He is such an amazing author and he's done so much work about building loving relationships and caring relationships and long-lasting relationships. So this show is really in the context of the 5 Love Languages. And if you haven't heard of them, they are acts of service, gift giving, physical touch and closeness, quality time, and words of encouragement. And the first thing that I would say about walking through the process of trying to support someone is it's really helpful if you know yourself, and it's really helpful if you can get in touch with some of the things around the people that you're wanting to support. So identifying, okay, what are my primary love languages? What are the love languages that I use when I really feel like somebody loves me? Or what are the love languages that I use to express love to other people? So for me, my go-to love language, my number 1 is acts of service. It is the piece that's the most powerful for me. So the way that rolled out in my life, my sister lived in a different state. She lived in Colorado when I was diagnosed with cancer. And she did the ultimate act of service. She literally dropped her life, and she came to stay with me during my surgeries and during my treatment. And she took me to lots of chemo and stuff like that. And one of the things that made her such an instrumental part in being such a great support giver was, like, she would come and she would clean my house. And she wouldn't ask me, well, what do you want me to do with this? How do you clean your windows? Do you use vinegar or do you use Windex? How do you want me to clean your sink? She just took responsibility and did it. She did it the way that she would do her own house. And that was really huge for me. I appreciated that so very much. So acts of service was really big for me. I had another friend who lived in close proximity to me, and I have a pretty in-depth spiritual practice. And that woman came to my house every morning, and we did our spiritual work together. And she would literally come on her way to work. She would come every morning, and we would read together, and we would meditate together, and we would pray together. So those were 2 acts of service for me that were really, really huge. So what I thought I'd do was touch a little bit on each of the love languages, and what are some ideas that you can do to help support somebody. The first thing that I would say, though, is really getting in touch with your own primary love language, and what is it that you do? What's the act of service that you do? Or what's the language that you speak in? I have people that I have worked with over the course of the years where One person's primary love language was gift giving, and the other person's primary love language was it was words of encouragement. So the giver is buying things, buying desks and pianos and jewelry and trinkets, and the person who's receiving says, "Can you just sit down and talk to me? Can you just stand still and talk to me? Can you tell me it's going to be okay?" So really knowing who you are and knowing who you're dealing with, those are two really huge things. So those love languages, acts of service is really, really easy for me to identify because that's my primary love language. So cleaning the house, doing the laundry, transporting people to and from doctor's appointments when you're close, taking out the garbage, cutting the grass, helping organize the bills, helping go through the paperwork and all of the insurance stuff, making sure that you're being billed properly, all of the stuff that goes along with that. And that is kind of hard to do if you are remote, but certainly if you're in close physical proximity, that's an easy thing to do. When it comes to gift giving is something that you can do if you're remote. A spa day is absolutely wonderful. I had a group of people who actually did chip in, and they bought me an overnight hotel stay at a beautiful spa and resort where it was just an all-day luxury thing where I just got pampered. Getting a massage. When you're getting ready, you have your chemo and your hair is going to fall out. Having somebody restyle your hair before it all falls out is really a lovely gift. It's really, really sweet. Buying a new set of pajamas for somebody, new bed sheets. Those are really wonderful things because we spend a lot of time in our pajamas and we spend a lot of time in bed. So that's a really great thing to do. Acupuncture treatments, massages, those are great gifts, things that are really personal and really help you take care of yourself. And then the physical touch and closeness, there's so much that goes on when you're being treated for cancer. You may have had surgery, you may be physically not feeling well, and it is, your intimacy life changes, and those can be really hard things. So really knowing who it is that you're dealing with, again, who are you dealing with, who are you working with? So having somebody just sit next to you and having your skin touching them and just being able to lean against them, not necessarily saying anything or doing anything, but just being there for that person, just being there. And one of the things that was really, really helpful for me one time was having somebody sit behind me. We sat back to back, and I was just able to lean into their body, and I was allowed to have the weight of my body supported completely by the weight of their body. And that was so intimate. It was so heartfelt. And to have somebody hold the space to do that for me was really, really wonderful. Just holding somebody and rocking them. There are times that we do body-racking sobs, and having somebody being able to hold that space and just to hold you, not to say anything, not to do anything, not to try and fix anything, but just to hold you, or to reach out and hold your hand, to touch you that way. Those are all really beautiful and intimate ways for physical touch. And then quality time is another one that is really, really big. We live in a really busy world. Our culture has us moving around and really busy all the time. So having somebody who can hold space with you, and you can be physical in physical proximity or doing that over the telephone, and just giving me time to talk, giving me 5 minutes where I just get to download all the lousy stuff that's going on without anybody trying to do anything about it, just holding the space, holding the time. Don't try and fix me. Don't try and make things okay. Just sit with me and be with me and hold the container for that. Another thing that was really nice was having some good entertainment. I had a friend who had a Carol Burnett series, and humor is really important. We need to maintain our sense of humor. We need to be able to laugh as we're walking through this process. So having people having people entertain us. If you have videos and movies, the whole Carol Burnett series was absolutely wonderful. I laughed until I cried sometimes. And so that was really nice. Being able to go to movies and high school plays and anything like that, that was entertaining, to just get out and be with other people where I'm not focused on being sick or focused on, the junk that's going on. So that was really important for me. And then there was words of encouragement. And words of encouragement are a funny thing because they land on us differently. When some people hear everything's going to be okay, it's going to be fine, we feel like, you're blowing us off. You're not recognizing the magnitude of what it is that we're trying to deal with. And other people are like, no, I need to hear everything's going to be okay, that everything's going to be fine. So there's a balance, and really knowing the person that you're dealing with. Really spending the time and paying attention and watching how they respond. Watch. Do they clench? Do they kind of sit back? Do they shrivel a little bit when you're saying that? Or does it look like it's engaging for them? Another thing with words of encouragement is just being able to have the opportunity to say how I feel, to say the things that are, this is really hard, and I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I can do this. I'm scared. And these are things that it doesn't matter if you're the survivor or the support giver. We really need to be able to have conversations like this. And it's hard to find spaces sometimes for us to be able to do that. So another thing for words of encouragement is, can you help me find someone who's had the same kind of whatever going on that I've got going on, who's on the other side of it, that I can just sit down and talk to, because they're going to get it in a way that you're not necessarily going to get it. So is that a possibility? Is there somebody else that I can talk to? So that was something that was really helpful. And then the other thing is, when we are going through a life-changing catastrophic event like cancer, or, I know it happens with other things too, like strokes or heart attacks, that we have stuff that goes on like that, we crave some kind of normal. We really want something in our life to be normal. So oftentimes people will come to us and they'll say, oh, I didn't want to bother you. I didn't want to tell you about what was going on with my kids or with my husband or with my wife or with my parents, because you have so much on your plate right now. And, our lives get consumed by dealing with the health and dealing with the cancer and dealing with all of the medical stuff that goes on. So we really want normal. So engage with us. Talk to us about what's going on normal in your life. Tell us the funny stories. Tell us the new food that you tried to cook that, either worked really well or didn't work. Tell us about your vacations. Tell us about the fun stuff that you get to do. Because, we're fighting to be here on the planet. And part of the reason that we do that is because we want to be with you. We want to engage with you. And we get that, there's stuff going on and it's awkward for everybody. But don't stop being normal around us. We need you to be normal around us. So I guess those are some of the things that are really helpful or were helpful for me as far as the primary love languages or the 5 love languages. And I would really encourage you to take time to sit with yourself and to say, what are my primary love languages? Is it acts of service? Is it gift giving? Is it physical touch and closeness? Is it quality time? Is it words of encouragement? And recognizing, just because that's my primary love language, that does not necessarily mean that it is your primary love language. So what do we do with that? We pay attention and we recognize, we see, how is what I'm doing is landing on the person that I'm doing it for? Does it look like it's help? Does it feel like it's help? Because sometimes, if it's help to you and it's not help to the other person, then it's not landing the way you'd like it to. So there might be a better way to approach that. The other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to supporting people, it really has to do with the beginning of treatment and the fact that this is really a marathon, that it's not a sprint. when we're first diagnosed, and this too is true with anything, when we're first diagnosed, we have lots of people that are around trying to help us. Wow, look at these beautiful leaves. They are just falling off the trees. When we're first diagnosed, we have lots of people that are helping us. They're making us food. They're taking us, they're calling us. They're buying us flowers and cards and all sorts of stuff. But as time goes on, it's, for some people, it's 6 to 7 weeks between diagnosis and your first chemo treatment. And people start to step back into their own lives. They start to get busy again, and we're left with a lot of time on our hands, and we're left with, I could use some more help. So one of the things that is really helpful is to create a network of all the people who are willing to help, and then to set up a schedule to say, on Mondays I'm going to do this, and on Tuesdays I'm going to do this, and on Wednesdays I'm going to do this. And that way no one person gets burned out. The person who's being supported has the support through the duration, and you can kind of you can walk through the process and see, well, what's working? What's not working? What could I use more help with? What couldn't I use more help with? And that way, there's that saying that says it takes a whole village to raise a child. That is not different when you're going through some kind of an event like cancer or anything like that. It does take a lot of people to help support us, to make us get through the process. So if you can schedule things so nobody gets burned out, if you can help people, that's something that works really well. And I know we've done it with lots of different networks where you can do community calendars, where you can set it up and people sign up for different things. You make a list of what needs to be done, and those things can be signed up for. And most of the time, it's not anything big and extravagant. It's helping us get through the day-to-day lives. It's helping us get through oh my gosh, I don't even know how to do this. And then one of the other things that I really want to mention is our worlds get turned upside down. You as the caregiver, your world is turned upside down. You have your set of emotions. You have your fears. And the survivor has their own version of that stuff too. So things that normally would not bother anybody are like, oh, are you kidding me? Why are you doing this? You're getting on my nerve. I have one nerve left and you're on it. So finding a way to say, okay, I need to not take this so personal. I need to find a way to communicate with this person. I need to find a way to talk to them. I need to find a way to be honest about what's going on with me and to not hurt them in the process. And I need to do self-care, whether I am the survivor or I am the caregiver, and I have been both. And self-care is so important. And finding out, looking at your love languages and saying, how do I love myself? How do I use these languages to support and to help and to care for myself? So it really has a lot to do with checking in on your internal self, and this might be the first time that some of us have done that, but really taking the time to do that. So that's what I would have to say today about how do you support somebody who's going through their journey, whether you're local or remote. And I do want to take a second to just send a shout out to my friend Barb. Barb is starting a new phase of her cancer journey today, and I want to dedicate this show to her and to say that I am with you. I have been where you are, and I know what you're going through, and the people around you love you, and they want to support you, and you're being able to find ways to tell them what you need is going to be really helpful, and keeping in mind that this is a journey for you too. It's not a marathon, and you're not going to get through it in one quick minute, but you will get through it. It's a process, and my heart goes out to you today, and I'm sending you lots of love. And if you have questions or you want more information about the 5 love languages or other topics, if you have suggestions for other topics, please feel free to reach out to me. And I really hope that you find ways in your journey to release the past, because carrying it around with you and hanging on to it isn't going to make it go away. Oh, Barb, Tamara sends you love. So yeah, finding ways to release the past is really, this is a new journey, and life isn't going to go back to the way it was. Finding a way to embrace your new normal, because there are things in your life today that are absolutely wonderful and absolutely embracement worthy. And then knowing that whatever is going on in your life, wherever you are in your journey, you can thrive. And I wish you well today. I wish you love today. And thank you for being here. Have a wonderful, wonderful Monday.